and that idea of using user labels on documents as indications of what the user likes and dislikes, the ways of addressing it are collectively known as relevance feedback, right? Because you're taking relevance information from the user, what the user thinks is relevant to their need, and you're feeding it back into your system. So what's the big idea? The big idea is user provides a set of labels, and you, based on that, you construct a new query that will be used to re-rank the documents. And what you want from that query is, after that reformulation, that query should match more relevant documents and fewer non-relevant documents. That's the basic hope. You hope to learn something from the labels that the user gives you. So there's lots and lots of ways to do relevance feedback. Let's look at the dead simplest way of doing feedback. So that's an algorithm that was proposed by Rocchio. I think must be 4 decades old now. So you start with the query Q0, and then the user comes in, and the user marks a certain number of R relevant documents and a certain number NR of non-relevant documents. So based on that, you're going to reformulate your query in this form. So you're going to take the original query, then this part, the summation over R, that is your mean relevant document, the average relevant document. So you just go over relevant documents, take their vectors, add them up, divide by R, and get the average. So that's the centroid of relevant documents, centroid of non-relevant documents. And what you're doing is you're adding a certain proportion of the relevant centroid to the original query and subtracting a certain proportion of the non-relevant centroid. So the intuition is you're moving your query away from the non-relevant documents and towards the relevant documents. It has a couple of parameters, alpha and beta. Those you determine empirically. So whatever task you're trying to solve, you try a bunch of values and see what value ends up giving you a good performance. Question?
How to calculate the number of non-relevant documents? I guess it's very large.
So how to calculate the number of non-relevant documents? You don't calculate it. It's what the user gives you. Right. So the total number of non-relevant is very large, but in practice, what happens is you don't actually know which documents are relevant and non-relevant until the user labels them, and the user is not going to label 1,000 documents. They won't even label 10. You're lucky if you get 1 positive and 1 negative. So most of the time, you're looking at 1 here and 1 here. Or maybe a small number. So you don't estimate that number. That's the number that's given to you by the user.